We begin this morning with breaking news. Pennsylvania State Police say a 2-week manhunt for an escaped prisoner is over. They caught Danelo Cavalcante just about an hour ago. This is video just into our newsroom. It's an aerial view of the suspect being captured this morning. A law enforcement source tells CBS News he was arrested in a wooded area inside the perimeter police had set up. Pennsylvania State Police made the announcement a short time ago. There is a news conference that will be scheduled for 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll take you there live once it starts.
All right, so let's bring in Keith Taylor. He is an adjunct assistant professor for the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Thanks for joining us in a pinch. We just learned about this probably about a half hour ago. So, here's the thing about it. It took about 2 weeks to find this guy. Why do you think it took so long to find Cavalcante?
Apparently, he was very resourceful. You remember he was breaking into individuals' homes. I think he stole a car at one point. And he had a previous history of being able to do the same thing, I believe, in his native Brazil. So it was not a surprise that he was able to adapt to this new situation, although he had some disadvantages that he didn't have anybody helping him in this respect. So he was clearly out on his own.
So what's your take on, I guess, the police strategy when it came to this manhunt?
I think it was an excellent strategy. They used all kinds of methods, including everything from rewards to having the various types of searching that was going on. The technological aspects of it as well, which may not be as noticeable. I'm sure that they were monitoring any kind of social media, any kind of telephone records, anything at all that would help narrow down where this individual would be. Of course, all of those cameras, those surveillance cameras were absolutely helpful in narrowing down where he was. And there was just a matter of time to smoke him out, to get him out.
We don't see escapes very frequently, but I think a lot of people were probably really surprised when they saw that video of him scaling the wall, first off, and to learn that it had happened, I think, before, something similar had happened before. So I think people were shocked about that, and the fact that he was able to elude police for so long, despite numerous people saying that they spotted him. I guess I'm sort of trying to craft a question, which is more like a feeling. I'm hoping to embody the feeling that everyone else was having, which was, how could something like this happen?
Unfortunately, they do happen. And you have to remember, you're dealing with a population of individuals who have a lot of time on their hands and a lot of inspiration to try and evade their circumstances. So this route, the escape route from the prison, had happened previously in May. I'm sure all the prisoners knew about it. And so it was just a matter of watching and planning and then looking for the opportunity. And that's exactly what he did. And as far as evading on the outside, he had a lot of land, a lot of ground, forests and other terrain that was available for him to try to figure out where to go. And he had all the communities with which to try to steal supplies, up to and including a vehicle as well as a weapon. And so he would have used those things, I'm sure, if he had the opportunity to do so. Very violent individual. I'm sure everyone in that area can breathe a sigh of relief now that he is back in custody. And he will be treated as a escape risk, which he should have been from the beginning. And so they'll investigate that. They'll look and see where any processes might have been deficient, which led up to this situation.
So when you say treated as an escape risk, then what does that mean moving forward for him? Does that mean, I presume, fewer privileges and fewer opportunities for something like this to happen again?
More monitoring, more surveillance, more escorts, and the facilities in which he will be kept will be more difficult to escape from. That's a better way of putting it, I think. There are lots of individuals who are flight risks, who are escape risks, who are in custody, corrections and police. They just, they have special procedures to deal with them. And so this is the reason why. If he is in an environment where he has the ability to escape, he will absolutely do so. And so,
Now, I know
I'm sure they'll
be
reviewing their procedures.
right. I know you can't get into his head, but what do you think sort of the long game was for him?
I would think that he would want to try to get back to where he was from,
Mm,
where he would have home game advantage. If he could get back to Brazil, I'm sure that would be ideal for him. If he had some help on the outside, that would have been more useful for him. But I don't think he had those options, and so he was pretty much stuck. And the boundaries were closing in on him
yeah.
because there was a lot of effort, a lot of resources. Hats off to all the law enforcement and all the other stakeholders who got us to this point where he was captured without loss of life.
Definitely, and all those residents who came forward when they spotted him, those door cams made a difference too, because we could see that he had changed his appearance. Keith Taylor, thank you very much.
My pleasure.